Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in Ken Wapnick's Journey Through the Text of A Course in Miracles, Volume 1, and we are on Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. We are picking up our reading. Thank you for your patience with me. If you noticed, I was gone. It was a lot of fun, but I couldn't get back yesterday. Let's just say that. I don't know what that is. It was I needed to rest. It was fun though. Okay, we now turn to Jesus and explore what it means to take him as our model for reacting in an ego world. We first recognize how we should think as long as we believe we exist in a body. While Jesus speaks specifically about the biblical crucifixion and his defenseless response to it as reported in the gospel stories, the key point to remember is that his message is really about content, the mind, and not form, behavior. And of course, we're in chapter 6, and this is the lessons of love, forgiveness, and Jesus. I have made it perfectly clear that I am like you and you are like me, but our fundamental equality can be demonstrated only through joint decision. Here, as always, Jesus points us to our minds where the decision to be like him is made. The only difference he notes that exists between us in the illusion of time is that he made an unequivocal decision for the Holy Spirit, so there is no ego in him. Since we have still to make that decision, we need Jesus to be our model for learning. You are free to perceive yourself as persecuted if you choose. When you do choose to react that way, however, you might remember that I was persecuted as the world judges and did not share this evaluation for myself. Persecution is not what is done to us, but is a perception, i.e., interpretation, based on our need to see the guilt in someone else. Taking Jesus as our model for learning means sharing his true perception that nothing is being done to us because the separation from love never occurred. In addition, as he models for us the understanding that no one and nothing in the world has power to take the peace of God from our minds, we learn from our elder brother that we forgive others for what they never could have done to us. And because I did not share it, I did not strengthen it. I therefore offered a different interpretation of attack, and one which I want to share with you. If you will believe it, you will help me teach it. Later in our symphony, Jesus gives a detailed explanation of the different interpretation of attack he mentions here, and that's in chapter 12. We will learn that attack is an expression of fear, which is a call for the love that is in all of us, even when we have denied it. Again, whenever we are whenever we are tempted to perceive ourselves unfairly treated, we should think of Jesus. To repeat whether or not events occurred as they are depicted in the Gospels is of no importance, for they remain significant symbols of forgiveness. Accordingly, we think of Jesus as one who perceived attack as a call for love, a perception that warranted only love as a response. He could do this because he chose love as his reality. Our reacting to attack in kind reflects our minds first having chosen the ego's thought system of attack, to which external events are irrelevant. In addition, when we realize our mistake and choose the teacher of forgiveness instead of attack, we no longer share or reinforce the ego decisions of others. We become loving manifestations of our inner teacher of love, who continues to instruct us. You are not asked to be crucified, which was part of my own teaching contribution. You are merely asked to follow my example in the face of much less extreme temptations to misperceive and not to accept them as false justifications for anger. There can be no justification for the unjustifiable. Do not believe there is, and do not teach that there is. Remember always that what you believe you will teach. Believe with me, and we will become equal as teachers. Asking Jesus to help us return home means we wish to perceive as he does. Since no one can attack a Son of God except the Son himself, there is nothing to forgive, which means anger is never justified. As we learn this single lesson, we become increasingly like Jesus until the ego is gone and we become his equal. In case we miss the above point that reflects the distinction between form, behavior, and content, the wrong and right-minded thoughts of the mind, Jesus repeats it in this crucial passage that reflects his reinterpretation of the crucifixion. I elected for your sake and mine to demonstrate that the most outrageous assault as judged by the ego does not matter, as the world judges these things, but not as God knows them. I was betrayed, abandoned, beaten, torn, and finally killed. It was clear that this was only because of the projection of others onto me, since I had not harmed anyone and had healed many. We are still equal as learners, although we do not need to have equal experiences. You are not persecuted, nor was I. You are not asked to repeat my experiences because the Holy Spirit, whom we share, makes this unnecessary. To use my experiences constructively, however, you must still follow my example in how to perceive them. My brothers and yours are constantly engaged in justifying the unjustifiable. My one lesson, which I must teach as I learned it, is that no perception that is out of accord with the judgment of the Holy Spirit can be justified. I undertook to show this was true in an extreme case, merely because it would serve as a good teaching aid to those whose temptation to give in to anger and assault would not be so extreme. I will with God that none of his sons should suffer. Jesus' message is patent. The value of his biblical crucifixion lies in its content of teaching defenselessness in the face of seeming attack, not the form of suffering, sacrifice, and death. He is asking us not to identify with the crucified body, which has been worshipped for over 2 millennia, but to emulate his healed mind that teaches that nothing and no one has the power to remove from us God's peace and love. The thoughts of the mind that are wholly unassailable from bodily attacks. Only if we were bodies would attack be real. Again, this is why attack in response to perceived attack is never justified. Nothing happened to warrant it. That alone is the message of the crucifixion. Nothing happened. The separation from God was only a bad dream, and nothing was done to affect our identity as children of love. And I am going to stop there. I thank you so much for joining with me today. I will see you tomorrow. I love you. Bye-bye.